Good morning, students. Once again, I welcome all of you to my history class. Did you see our previous session? I hope it is clear for you. Now we can learn its continuation. Okay, what did we discuss there in our previous session? We discussed there about the Gupta dynasty, the Gupta empire, who were the most important Gupta rulers, what were their main achievements,
And
or what were the different kinds of development we can see in the Gupta period. I hope it is clear for you. Now we can learn how was the society during the Gupta period. Classification of the society during the Gupta period. During the Gupta period, the society divided into number of caste and subcaste. The caste system was so rigid. During the Gupta period, the caste system was so rigid and untouchability also existed in the society. The untouchables were lived outside of the town. They had no permission to enter the town. When they are entering the town, they made one of the voice. They had two wooden sticks with their hand, and they made the voice. Okay, that kind of untouchability existed in the society. Then people were honest and safe. At that time, there were no crimes or theft existed because the rules and regulations were so rigid. So the people were safe. So the people were honest and safe, so they can leave their house without closing their door during the night time. The people were so safe in their house, they can spend their house during the night without closing the door. That kind of the system existed in the society. Then women were regarded as inferior and men had more position than the women. The women were considered as inferior. Okay, is it clear? The women were regarded as inferior and child marriage was a common process. Child marriage was existed there and the women had no permission to participate in social or political activities. They had no more any chance to participate any social or political activities. They were always considered as inferior and men got too much position in the society. They had full permission to participate in social and political activities, but the women were treated as inferior. Is it clear? Yeah. Then the people were safe and honest, but society was deteriorated too much. There was no equality, gender equality existed during that period. Okay. The widows were looked too much down. The widows had no more any permission or any freedom. Now we can learn about the Gupta administration. Now we can learn about the Gupta administration. He was considered as the head of the administration. He was the last word of all kinds of decisions. Okay, he was the head of administration. He was assisted by a council of ministers. He was assisted by a council of ministers. He was assisted by a council of ministers. The empire divided into number of provinces. Further divided into number of provinces. Instead of empire, they used the word Rajya. What was the term they used instead of the empire? Rajya. The Rajya divided into number of Bhuktis. Bhuktis means provinces. Okay. Instead of provinces, they used that another one term. That one was Bhuktis. Who was the ruler of the Bhukti? The next heir apparent or the princess of the royal family appointed as the head of the Bhuktis. Bhuktis were further divided into Vishayas. Vishaya means districts. Instead of Vishayas, which one we can see in the present day? That one is district. The head of the Vishayas were called Vishayapadis. Who was the head of the Vishaya? Vishayapadis. Again the Vishayas divided into Gramas. Again the Vishayas divided into Gramas. Head of the Gramas were known as Gramapati. Who was the head of the Grama? Gramapati. Then the princes were assisted by a group of officers. Who was the head of the Bhuktis? Governors. Who were the governors? The princes of royal family. The princes of royal family considered as the governors. Okay. So the princes were assisted by a group of or council of ministers. They were known as Kumaramatya. Once more listen. The empire or Rajya. Instead of empire, they used the term Rajya. The Rajya was ruled by the king or emperor. He was the all-in-all or supreme commander-in-chief of the army and the last way of all kinds of the decision taken by the Gupta Empire. Then the Rajya divided into number of the Bhuktis. Instead of Bhuktis, we can see the word the province. The provinces were ruled by governors. Who were the governors? The royal family princes were considered as the governors. The next one, Bhuktis again divided into number of Vishayas. Head of the Vishayas were called Vishayapadis. And again, Vishayas divided into number of Gramas. The head of the Grama known as Gramapati. Is it clear? The Gramas were the smallest unit of administration or during the Gupta reign. Is it clear? Yeah. Now we can learn about how was the Gupta's administration. The Gupta administration was divided into three headlines: central administration, provincial administration, and local administration. The monarch or the emperor was the head of the central administration. The council of ministers of the Mantri Parishad assisted him, and it consisted the heir apparent or the prince, then Kumaramatya, and the Samdhi Vigrahahiya, that means the foreign ministers. Then next, the provincial administration. The empire divided into number of the provinces, and instead of provinces, they used another one word. That one was Bhukti. The head of the Bhukti was Bariga. Then again, provinces divided into Vishayas. Head of the Vishaya was Vishayapati. That means the present districts. And Vishayas again divided into number of small gramas or villages. Is it clear? The hierarchy of the Gupta administration was such a way. Now we can discuss about the economy of the Gupta period. There were great progress in agriculture, industry, trade and commerce. Great progress had in agriculture, industry and trade and commerce. There were many industries also emerged during that period. There were many industries also emerged during that period. Which were they? Weaving, carpentry, metallurgy and pottery. Okay. These were the four industries emerged during the Gupta period. Once more, which are the most industries developed during the Gupta period? Weaving, carpentry, pottery and metallurgy. What's the term meaning metallurgy? All of you take your textbook. Look at there. The scientific study of the metal and its uses. During that period, that means the 4th century AD, during that period, Indians knew about which are the different types of the metal and how can they use it for different purpose. That also they learned many more years ago. The trade and commerce and industry. So, which were the most important industries existed during the Gupta period? Once more, weaving, metallurgy, carpentry and pottery. Is it? Then progress in internal and external trade. The Gupta rulers engaged trade with not only within the empire, then they engaged trade with other foreign countries also. Main countries they engaged the foreign trade. They engaged trade with West Asia, then Southeast Asia and Mediterranean countries. They had good trade relationship with the European countries. Almost all parts of Asia, and they engaged trade relations with the Mediterranean countries also. The next one, which are the important ports existed during the Gupta period? First we learned that during the period of the Samudragupta, he conquered three important ports of the western coast of India. Which were they? They were Broch, Sopara and Cambe. Do you remembering that one? Okay. And these all, not only that one, other important ports also existed during that time. There were three important ports conquered by Samudragupta. Which were they? They were Broch, Sopara and one more also. That one is Cambe. Okay. So, not only that one, Tamralipti, then Sopara and Kalyana. Instead of Cambe, they at that time they changed the name. That one was Kalyana. Okay. The most important ports were Tamralipti, Broch, Sopara and Kalyana. Okay. Through these ports, they engaged internal trade as well as the external trade. Then they engaged the trade with West Asia, Southeast Asia and Mediterranean countries, especially the European countries. Which were the items they exported to foreign countries? They were then spices, silk, sandalwood. Three of them starting with the S. Isn't spices, silk, and sandalwood. Moreover, ivory, pearls, then perfumes, textiles. Instead of that one, they occupied gold. Okay. Instead of the money, which one they used there? Instead of gold, they transferred these all items to foreign countries. Which are the major exporting items from the Gupta period? Which are the main exporting items from the Gupta period? They are, the main items are spices, silk, sandalwood, ivory, pearls, perfumes, textiles. You learn any 6 among them. Instead of the money, which method or which medium they use as for the transaction? They use as the gold as the medium of transaction. Is it clear? So about economy, once more we want to learn which are the main points belongs to the economy. Great progress in the agriculture and trade, commerce and industry. Then the main industries were the pottery, weaving, carpentry and metallurgy. Then they had made progress in the internal and external trade. Internal means within the empire. Then get different kinds of the transactions. Then and not only over, they engage in trade relationship with other foreign countries also, especially West Asia, Southeast Asia and Mediterranean country. And which are the important ports existed? Thamranipti, Broj, Sopara and Kalyana. Then which are the important exporting items? Spices, silk, then sandalwood, ivory, pearls, then textiles, then perfumes are the important items they exported. Then which one was the medium they used? They used as the medium, that one was gold. Is it clear? Then now we can learn about the religious life of the Gupta period. Which one was the prominent religion during the Gupta period? The Hinduism was the most important religion during the Gupta period. Other important religions also existed there, the Buddhism and Jainism. Mainly 3 religions existed during that period. They are the Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. Other no more any religions at that time. The Hindu religion divided into number of divisions or subjects. Then most among them was the Vaishnavas. Okay, who were known as the Vaishnavas? Who considered Lord Vishnu as the supreme god? Who considered Lord Vishnu as the supreme god, and he was considered as the creator of this universe. That followers of the Hinduism were called the Vaishnavas. Then next one, the Vaishnavas means who followed the Hindu religion, and then Vishnu was considered as the supreme god and the creator of the world or universe. That members are known as the Vaishnavas. Is it clear? Then Bhakti was so popular during that period. Bhakti was so popular. What is meant by Bhakti? Bhakti means selfless devotion to God. Bhakti means selfless devotion to God entirely based on the faith of the devotee. Devotee means who worship the Vishnu or the God. They were ready to sacrifice everything for that God. That kind of the cult was or movement was started. That one was known as Bhakti cult or Bhakti movement. And selfless devotion to God. They did not consider themselves. But they had that one, all of them they avoid. And they were ready to sacrifice their life and their all abilities and possessions. That kind of the feeling was known as Bhakti. So the Bhakti movement started during this period. Okay. Then Bhakti movement started or Bhakti cult started during that period. Different religions were existed in the Gupta period. We can see number of religions, different religions, but people lived in harmony. There were no chaos and confusions among the people on the basis of their religion. The people lived in harmony or in unity. Okay. For example, one of the person mentioned by here. Who was that one? Vasubandhu. Who was Vasubandhu? He was a Buddhist scholar and Samudragupta, that means the Indian Napoleon. Samudragupta appointed Vasubandhu as the tutor of his son. The period gave priority to the Hinduism, but the ruler as well as the people then lived in harmony with other religion. They did not give much more attention to the extreme belief of the Hinduism. They lived in peace and harmony with other religion. Okay. Then, for example, one of the person, his name was Masubandhu. Who was Masubandhu? He was a Buddhist scholar. The Buddhist scholar was appointed as the tutor of Samudragupta to teach his son. Okay, that means the rulers also kept the mentality of tolerance towards to other religion. Is it clear? Yeah. There were no more any chaos and confusion on the basis of the religion. Okay. So what are the main points we learned from this part? There are three main religions existed: Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. But the rulers gave priority on the prominent religion was the Hinduism. It had number of divisions. One among them was the Vaishnavas. Okay, who worshipped Lord Vishnu as the supreme God or the creator of the world. That members are known as Vaishnavas. Then there was the different religions were existed in the society, but the people lived with harmony. Okay. The next one, Bhakti cult was so popular during that time. What is meant by Bhakti? The selfless devotion towards to their God, or selfless devotion towards to God, and he was ready to sacrifice everything whatever he had. That concept is called Bhakti. Okay. These are the main topics belongs to the society. In the society we learned about social life, then economic life and religious life. Social life, and the economic life and religious life. It was the system existed among the Gupta society. Then next, what are the main sources of the Gupta Empire? What are the main sources we are using to learn about the Gupta Empire? The main sources of the Gupta Empire, we can be divided into two headlines. They are literary sources and archaeological sources. What are the written documents we got? That is the example of the literary sources. And what are the remains we got? Either from underground of the earth, or from the temples, or from the stone inscriptions or the pillar inscriptions. They are the examples of the archaeological sources. The literary sources. The court poet Harisena or some of the, or he gave some kinds of the descriptions about the Samudragupta. That is one of the example. The next, Fahian's accounts or details given by the Fahian in his travelogue. The next one, Itzing, another one Chinese traveler. He also wrote some kinds of the, he also gave some kinds of the account. The next one, works of Kalidasa. These are the main literary sources belongs to the Gupta Empire. Once more, the accounts of the Harisena, then Fahian's and Itzing's accounts, and works of Kalidasa. The next, archaeological sources. Which are the main archaeological sources we are using to know more details about the Gupta period? They were the paintings of the Ajanta caves. First one is paintings of the Ajanta caves. Then Allahabad pillar inscriptions. Other pillar inscriptions at Mehrauli. Then the Deogar Vishnu temple and the Bidhargwan temple. These are all of them we are using to learn more details about the Gupta period. The next one, remains of the temples. And last one, different types of the coins we got from the from that period. Okay, thus we are using two kinds of the sources. They are literary sources and archaeological sources. Written documents on the paper, or the written documents of the paper, or the poets or the writers, that is known as the literary sources. Archaeological sources means what are the remains we got, or what are the remains we got either from underground of the earth or existing the monuments. That is the examples of the archaeological sources. I hope it is clear for you. And last topic, how did the Gupta Empire decline? Like the other empires, the Gupta Empire also declined due to the weak successes. No more any efficient rulers. That's why the Gupta Empire declined. The next one, the invasion of the Hunas. We learned that one during the time of the Samudragupta. One of the foreign tribe invaded India. They were the Hunas. The foreign attack also one of the reason. Okay. The next influence of the Buddhism among the people. So the influence of the Buddhism among the people. That was also one of the cause of the decline of the Gupta Empire, because the Guptas gave priority to Hindu religion. The last point, when we learned about the political history, at that time we learned the empire divided into a number of subdivisions. The Rajya, then Bhukti, the next one Vishayas and Gramas. The last two sections became too much powerful than the other members, because the king became weak and the prince also became weak, or the governors became weak, and who were become too much powerful. The Vishayapati and the Gramika became too much powerful, or head of the authority, head of the village became too much powerful. These were the main causes for the decline of the Gupta Empire in India. I hope it is clear for you. So, we learned about a famous empire that one existed in India. That one was the Gupta Empire. There were only 5 important rulers. Most important among them were only 3. They were Chandragupta first, then Samudragupta, and Chandragupta second, or Vikramaditya. They were the most important rulers. Their administration, their contribution, how was the society and religion during that period, all these things are too important. So read your lesson well. Okay, try to find out the question answers of the textbook by filling the blanks and one word answers. Read your lesson thoroughly without any mistakes. Then without any confusion, you learn it thoroughly.
The main sources of the Gupta period divided into 2 headlines. They are literary sources and archaeological sources. The literary sources consisted the accounts of Fahian and accounts of Kalidas. And the archaeological sources consisted Allahabad pillar inscription, the Vishnu temple Diyoga, and the Nalanda University. Okay, once more, the main sources we can be divided into 2 headlines. They are literary sources and archaeological sources. The literary sources consisted accounts of Ahian and accounts of Kalidas. Now we can learn one by one.
Is it clear for you? I hope it is clear. You read your lesson well, and each and every point is important. You learn it very well. Thank you. Have a nice day. Wish you all the best. Thank you, children. Thank you.